I'm sure some of you have heard the horror stories of replacing an electric vehicle pack and finding out the batteries actually cost more than the entire car. Well, here we're going to have a look at a brand of electric car being sold right now where if you damage the battery pack, you might as well just throw the car away because it's worth more than the entire car. Hello my friends, welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking, great to see you. Thank you to our supporters on Patreon. Couldn't be here without you, just had a couple of new supporters come on within the last few days. Welcome guys, really appreciate your support. And thank you for contributing. Any amount of money is awesome, even $1, $10, anything really does help the channel. I'll put a link in the description below to our Patreon page. If you can support us, that would be wonderful. Thank you for supporting us in other ways as well by subscribing. Awesome to have you. Now, Polestar, owned by Geely, so is Volvo, make EVs, and they're basically an EV-only brand. Now, they make some pretty impressive electric cars. However, there's one big problem with their vehicles, and that is that if you damage the battery pack, well, you might as well just throw the car away. So, my recommendation is if you're going to buy a Polestar EV, make damn well sure that you've got insurance that covers you for damaging the battery pack. Even if you do it yourself, make sure that in the fine print of your insurance, you don't have to pay for the battery pack, because otherwise your insurance is literally worth nothing. Now, I'm sure some of you have seen the other stories, like there was a Tesla Model S where Tesla was charging the person who wanted to replace the battery pack. This was an old car, more than 10 years old. They were charging them, I think, about $20-something thousand, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually nothing when you hear about this story. Battery packs are the most expensive component of an electric vehicle. That's just a fact. Just like an internal combustion vehicle. What's the most expensive part? Obviously, the engine is. Well, with an electric car, the motors, while expensive to replace, are nowhere near as expensive as it is to replace the battery pack. And that's one of the great things about some of the new modern electric cars being made with LFP batteries, lithium iron phosphate batteries. Most of those packs will outlast the life of the car. And if you look at like common modern electric cars such as the Tesla Model 3, and you hear some of the stories on those, well, replacing the battery pack is more than likely never going to be necessary if you own the vehicle for, say, less than 1 million kilometers. For example, I just made a video about someone who's owned an electric Tesla Model 3 for 510,000 kilometers and had to replace basically nothing in the car. I mean, no oil filters, no spark plugs, no transmission fluid to change. Huge advantages. And the battery pack only has 20% battery degradation. It still has 80% of its original capacity after 510,000 kilometers. However, a Polestar 2 owner in China just got a bill to replace his battery pack. And frankly, the figure is absolutely shocking. Mr. Hung, the owner of a Polestar 2 dual motor long range, had an accident while driving and he wasn't covered by insurance. That resulted in damage to his headlights and the chassis of the car, and it dented the battery pack inward, meaning that he needs to replace the battery pack. Or at least that's what he's being told by Polestar. Now, during the repair process, CNET Post says that Mr. Hung was told by the dealership that the vehicle needed a battery pack replacement and that the bottom aluminium plate of the car could not be replaced alone, meaning the entire pack would need to be replaced at a cost of 540,000 yen, which is 80,000 US dollars. You read that right? You didn't mishear that? That's 80,000 US dollars. That's a lot more than the car cost to buy new. Polestar is the premium electric vehicle maker owned by Geely and Volvo, of course. And of course, they have other brands within their stable like Zeekr. Zeekr make one of my top 3 favorite electric cars, the 001. I'll put a link in the description below to my review of that car. You can check out why I love that car so much. Volvo's website in China says the car costs 269,000 RMB. That's the starting price. That's 39,000 US dollars. However, if you want the dual motor long range version that this guy bought, you've got to pay 49,600 US dollars. Still, that's $30,000 less than he's been quoted from Polestar to replace the battery. This means that replacing the battery would cost 1.6 times more than the new price of this car, meaning the car is essentially worthless. Now, I'm going to bet that the guy's wishing he'd bought insurance to cover this, but I'm also going to bet that if you want to get an insurance premium on a Polestar vehicle, now that insurers know the cost to replace the battery pack, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Although this is a fairly shocking story, it's worth pointing out that battery packs from pretty much every other manufacturer that I can find information for cost a lot less than this to replace. Xpeng, for example, in China as well, charge around 110,000 RMB for a replacement battery pack for the P7, 90,000 for the P5, and 85,000 for the G3. So what's 90,000 RMB? A relatively affordable 13,000 US dollars. Yes, it's still a lot of money, but it's a hell of a lot less than the 80,000 that Polestar want for a similar sized battery pack. However, Xpeng say that their batteries are different to Polestar batteries. If you damage the battery pack on their packs, you don't have to replace the whole thing. They say that only the part that has been destroyed or been damaged should be replaced. Here's what they said. If the damage is not extensive, only part of the module will be replaced, and it is rare that the entire battery pack needs to be replaced on an Xpeng vehicle. Now, Li Auto, on the other hand, actually have a cheaper price to replace their battery pack, but when you think about the size of the packs, it's a little bit expensive in my view. It's 60 to 70,000 RMB, so around about 10,000 US dollars. But considering the pack is about half the size of those Xpeng battery packs, well, it seems a bit expensive in my view in comparison. Now, here's my recommendation. So you can avoid this issue. Well, number one, buy an electric vehicle with an LFP battery. It's much, much less likely to have issues. It's also less likely to have battery degradation because LFP batteries generally can do about 3 times as many cycles as a lithium ternary battery. It's worth the slightly reduced range for the peace of mind in terms of that as well. Plus, their batteries are much less likely to catch fire. They're much safer. The other recommendation I have, get insurance. Don't be an idiot. If you've got a new electric car or any new car for that matter, it's worth paying for insurance. That's what I think. Let me know if you disagree or you agree in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again on the next video. Bye-bye.